Coming up on Mountain News at 5:30, attorneys weigh in on the struggles of taking legal action against police officers. And we'll tell you about the first woman to graduate from Big Sandy Community and Technical College's Industrial Maintenance Program.
The cooler trend continues heading into your Wednesday. We'll also bring back a few more scattered showers. I'll have a look at your forecast right now at 5:30.
Dedicated to Southern and Eastern Kentucky, this is WYMT Mountain News at 5:30.
Good evening, I'm Steve Hensley. A coronavirus model used by the White House now projects more than 200,000 Americans could die of COVID-19 by October 1st. That's up more than 30,000 since just last week. Since June 1st, hospitalizations have risen in at least 11 states. Some cities like Miami are now starting to hold off on reopening parts of their economy. In a call with governors Monday, Vice President Mike Pence encouraged state leaders to attribute spikes in new cases to the magnitude of the increase in testing, but provided no evidence to back that up. Researchers from the University of Oxford in England say they have the first evidence of a drug that improves COVID-19 survival. It is a cheap, widely available steroid that has reduced deaths by up to 1/3 in severely ill, hospitalized patients. The results were announced Tuesday, and the British government immediately authorized the drug's use across the United Kingdom for coronavirus patients.
This drug, dexamethasone, reduced the risk of dying by about 1/3 for people who are on breathing machines, ventilators, and about 1/5 for people who didn't need the breathing machines but did need oxygen in hospital. Those are big effects for an important disease.
No information was given on side effects, but researchers said they used a low dose and for a short time, which was generally safe. This comes as the FDA ended their authorization for hydrochloroquine, a controversial drug some used for the treatment of COVID-19. Back here in Kentucky, protests in Louisville continued last night for the 19th day in a row. Protesters blocked traffic on 6th Street between Liberty and Jefferson. The group gathered rocks and road signs to create their own barricades. Police kept their distance in the sky and on the ground and encouraged people to stay out of the area. At least 9 people were arrested. Protesters were demanding the arrest of the 3 officers involved in the shooting death of Breonna Taylor. Lexington city leaders held a meeting to get input about improving race relations and issues with the police department. This comes after weeks of protests in Lexington, where demands for police accountability were a top concern. But some say taking legal action against officers is not easy. Chelsea Jones talked with both a criminal defense attorney and a Commonwealth's attorney about why prosecuting police can be a challenge.
This is what democracy looks like. Police departments are under a lot of scrutiny.
When it comes to police officers pulling individuals over, Lexington has a serious and huge problem with that.
Criminal defense attorney Daniel Whitley says he's received complaints about Lexington officers using excessive force.
There are individuals, especially on the north side, east side, and west side of town, who report to me that officers are getting in extra punches, getting in extra hits.
He believes police misconduct is not only an issue in other cities, but here in our community.
They should be charged like everybody else. But unfortunately, a lot of times the people responsible for making those decisions are the same people who work with them every day.
He's talking about prosecutors and their complicated relationship with police. Some have questioned if we can trust them to bring justice against officers who do wrong.
We're on the same team, so I am blind to the inappropriate conduct of a person. That's just not true.
Commonwealth's attorney Luana Redcorn disagrees, but she acknowledges there are challenges to prosecuting police.
It's more challenging, I think, for a jury to figure out whether the officer's conduct is criminal or not.
She says by law, officers have the right to use force if deemed necessary, and that juries are less likely to convict.
They don't want to make a mistake regarding what the ultimate verdict should be.
And when other officers aren't witnesses, Whitley says that can bring barriers.
So even sometimes if they want to speak out, you've seen officers speak out and get fired.
Seeing African Americans die at the hands of police, protesters are calling for change to what many say is systemic racism in the criminal justice system.
I haven't seen it. I wouldn't say that there is. I believe in the justice system. I think there is systemic racism in society.
Whitley thinks otherwise.
I do see disparities in how people in our community are treated based on race.
But the attorneys do agree there needs to be change.
Should the police improve in terms of decisions about who they hire? I think that we can all agree that we all want to hire people of quality.
They say much of that begins with having honest conversations.
We can't just shut it down and say, well, you're either pro-police or anti-police. We're really trying to build a better community so we can, never have an incident that happened in Minneapolis.
In Lexington, Chelsea Jones, WKYT.
Changes are being made to the way policing is done across America in response to those nationwide protests. Atlanta's mayor said she's signing a series of orders, including more de-escalating techniques, following a deadly police shooting Friday night. In New York City, the police commissioner announced he is disbanding the department's plainclothes anti-crime unit.
This is a relationship between the police and the community. And when one party to a relationship says the relationship isn't working, then it's not working.
Today, the FBI also announced charges in the death of federal officer Patrick Underwood, who was shot during protests in Oakland last month. Officials believe the two men responsible have ties to an anti-government extremist group looking to exploit peaceful demonstrations.
Some of us saw a lot of sunshine today, others not so much. So we've seen a big temperature swing across the mountains. We're going to take you up to some of those cameras though. Interstate 75 in London, one of the areas that have seen more sunshine today. Of course, all of us though have kind of seen that mixture of sun and clouds, and you could see that of course over there. Looking outside the front porch at WYMT, starting to see a little bit more of those blue skies. Seen some pretty cool clouds out there, kind of wispy clouds, some thicker kind of white puffy clouds as well. We've seen a big mixture of clouds throughout the area, especially if you're along that Kentucky, Virginia, West Virginia border. You guys have seen a lot more clouds, a few stray rain chances throughout the day, but if you look from Moorhead almost back to London up towards Lexington, seen plenty of sunshine over there, and they've seen warmer temperatures. So temperatures into about those upper 70s towards Lexington, Moorhead, mid 70s down into London, or really low to mid 70s, lower 70s Jackson into Hazard, and then you can even see over into Pikeville and Harlan a little bit on that cooler side. Now heading into tonight, we'll continue to see those cooler temperatures, partly to mostly cloudy skies. We'll be dropping into the 50s overnight. The cooler trend continues for about one more day or so before the heat and humidity starts to return, and I'll have a look at that full forecast coming up in a little bit.
All right, thank you, Paige. One Pike County graduate is more disappointed than most at losing the chance to walk across the stage because it is a walk she's been looking forward to for more than 30 years. WYMT's Buddy Forbes talked to her about her journey and how she hopes it will inspire others.
It took 38 years.
It's never too late. I'm 55 years old, and I've done it.
But Valina Stacy finally achieved a lifelong goal.
And he told me, he said, we've never had a woman to graduate this program since this school's been here. I said, well, I'm going to be your first.
And she was right. Stacy is the first woman to graduate from Big Sandy Community and Technical College's Industrial Maintenance Program. And her professor says she has left quite a mark on the program.
I even had one student start calling her Mama. I guess they just felt that connection with her, like she's family. So she's a great encourager.
But it all stems from a mark that will forever be found on her.
This baby here on my arm, I got this tattoo in honor of this baby because I received its kidneys.
Stacy received a kidney transplant in 2017. And her donor was an infant.
And I thank God every day and thank that family. What a that was just a great act they could do for someone. And I want to thank, I would love to thank those people someday in person.
She said that day changed everything for her. And she just wanted to make that family, whoever they are, proud of the way she is using their gift.
I got a second chance on life, and I'm doing everything I can to succeed and do the best I can with the rest of my life I have left.
Something she will never take for granted. In Pike County, Buddy Forbes, WYMT Mountain News.
Moore says Stacy is paving a path for women in the field and showing that industrial maintenance is more than just a man's world. The Gatlinburg Sky Bridge in East Tennessee has reopened after temporarily closing due to a crack on the top layer of glass. The Gatlinburg Skylift Park posted on its Facebook page that a guest did not comply with posted rules of no running, jumping, or bouncing on the bridge. They say someone tried a baseball-style slide across the glass, and upon impact, a metal object on the guest's clothing chipped the glass. Repairs to the glass panel began Monday evening and were completed early this morning. Apple Shop in Letcher County has promoted art in the region for 50 years. One way they do that is through the Appalachian Media Institute, hosting many youth workshops. Despite the pandemic, the Institute is still hosting its annual Summer Documentary Institute. WYMT's Tommy Poole has more on the workshop's new look.
It's a summer workshop that has been around for 30 years.
How to tell a documentary story, how to use a camera, and then we give them all the professional gear they need.
This year's Summer Documentary Institute looks different in lieu of the global pandemic.
Good morning, sunshine. Transition to being online courses and classes, and they also had to figure out how to record their media at home.
Students from the age of 14 to 22 are still getting hands-on experience.
Loaning each student a computer, audio gear.
Just in a different way.
Instead of producing our usual video work, we're producing audio pieces to kind of capture this moment of what it looks like in East Kentucky to live through a pandemic.
The course is still teaching the basic skills, but also providing life lessons.
Many people would have probably just hit pause on this program for the year and no one would have judged us for it. We found it as an incredibly pivotal moment to give young people a voice and the power they need.
Keeping the summer course fresh
is a big part of us figuring out, in general, pandemic or not, how to keep our program relevant and needed is the idea of respectful media storytelling.
So the art lives on. In Letcher County, Tommy Poole, WYMT Mountain News.
The Appalachian Media Institute hosts many different kinds of workshops each spring, summer, and fall. Some of the workshops double as internships, allowing students to get paid. That way, those interested who rely on summer jobs do not miss out on the experience. Coming up on Mountain News at 5:30, how the coronavirus has some people moving from bigger cities to smaller towns.
Few scattered showers are possible tomorrow. Those look to continue heading into the rest of the work week. I'll have a look at that 7-day forecast coming up.